across the country this month, and Americans usually turn to leaders for comfort, hope, and answers on how to move forward as a nation during tragic events. Oftentimes, leaders try not to use such moments to mix sympathy with politics. But yesterday, President Donald Trump took the opportunity to do just that. Compare, though, to how another former Republican president, Ronald Reagan, addressed the nation following the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger back in 1986.
Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country.
On behalf of the First Lady, myself, and 340 million Americans, our hearts are shattered alongside yours, and our prayers are with you now and in the days to come.
Perhaps we've forgotten the courage it took for the crew of the shuttle. But they, the Challenger 7, were aware of the dangers, but overcame them and did their jobs brilliantly.
We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions and ideas.
I've always had great faith in and respect for our space program, and what happened today does nothing to diminish it.
As FAA says, people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them. They can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program.
I wish I could talk to every man and woman who works for NASA or who worked on this mission and tell them your dedication and professionalism have moved and impressed us for decades, and we know of your anguish. We share it.
The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster.
I want to say something to the school children of America who were watching the live coverage of the shuttle's takeoff. I know it's hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery.
We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary.
There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Reverend Sharpton, President Ronald Reagan in 1986, President Donald Trump yesterday. The contrast couldn't be starker.
You really, and I almost don't believe I'm saying this, but you really almost offend Ronald Reagan to put he and Trump in one sentence. I definitely was against Reagan. Reagan defeated Jimmy Carter and brought in a new era of American conservatism. But Reagan always was decent. I remember when Jesse Jackson, one of my mentors, went and got a Navy pilot out of Syria. Reagan welcomed him to the White House. Reverend Jackson had been a big critic of his. Reagan had him speak right there in the Rose Garden. That's how you become president. I don't understand what it's going to take for people to understand. I do not think Donald Trump has the capacity to grow into the job, because for you to open up by saying we don't know what happened, but then in the next sentence say, but the disabled and diversity did it. Then if you don't know what happened, how do you feel that you even have the right to bring that up while people are still in the bottom of the Potomac River? Let's remember now, when he was talking, people were still in the bottom of that river, not even identified to some of the families. He steps over their bodies like they're props to take shots at his political opponents.
Whenever given a chance to unify, he always chooses divisiveness. Excellent work by the Morning Joe team to put together that eye-opening comparison. Coming up next, we have new details about the ICE raids that were expected to take place in Colorado this week. We're going to be joined by Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold on those new developments